This is Mike again, still on the Matrix, unpacking the activities of the Matrix, talking about the cyber network. Here in Italy, reads mind of people is illegal for to read the mind in Italy. And the reading of the mind is not something that is contactless, meaning that um, you are not going to be taken to one office and then you have some digital equipment connected to your head and then they listen to what you're thinking. No, no, not at all. That is not the way. It is contactless and remote, from a distance. As you go about your daily activities, you live your normal life, your mind is being read. So we are under a network. Everybody's mind is being read. Everybody's thought is being shared. I remember I went to psychiatrist hospital one time when my mind was when I was under the attack of the cyber force. And the attack was coming, of course, from the police and the carabinieri. So they were the one that were attacking my brain at the time. When I got there, the psychiatrist told me that he said, listen, you need to accept, the fact that we have a network with which we communicate in this city. It's that you accept it and then everything will be fine. Or if you don't accept, then and then the question is, the same was true of another psychiatric, which is a federal public psychiatric, that actually also meant he was saying the same thing. He said, Mike, listen, I have to just tell you this. In Italy here, we read minds. We read mind in Italy. So you have to be very careful of what you think, of what you're thinking. So the question is that I was telling them about certain mental alteration that I was having, and this time I didn't even know about the matrix, about the cyber force, or that we are even in the network that is able to disable people, mentally alter the brain, the mind of people, in any way that they actually want. So I was kind of surprised at the remarks and the comments of the two secretaries because they were saying something completely off the subject we're discussing. We're discussing mental health. That was the reason I met with them. And yet they were discussing network and the reading of the mind. So which means both of them actually in this way, both of them indirectly attributed my head situation at the time to the influence of the matrix, to the influence of the cyber force that is active in this country. And now, because the police and the carabinieri, before they claim that they don't control it, now the information is now really available to everybody, to the public, that they do control it to some extent. So if they want to actually carry out a specific action with it, they can do it. For example, they can read the mind of a suspect remotely from their office. And if the suspect is in possession of a certain item that is illegal, for example, maybe he's in the possession of a drug or whatever, the location where the person is hiding it, they can read the person's mind and trace it and identify the particular location where the person is hiding it. Right? So they do control the network in this way. And also they can also share deal, make the person to walk towards the position where they can actually apprehend the person. Because I said before that a matrix is responsible also for the cognitive process, your thinking process, your decision. It can affect your decision. So they can actually simulate your behavior and you act on it accordingly. So they do control it to a very large extent. So it's a soft power that they have. It's a soft weapon in the hands of the carabineers and police. All right. And, due to the barbaric nature of them, well, due to the barbaric nature of them to a very large extent, like sort of like hoodlums, hoodlums, these set of gangsters, but their own is different because they are uniform, they are in uniform, and they also act, public, officials. So they are kind of decent hoodlums, decent, uh, decent looking hoodlums. That's what they are. I wouldn't say all of them, because of course they have to, of course, checkmate, check and balance the behavior and activities of police officers. You can have a lot of police officers and even carabinieri who are dealing drugs. You understand? So they are using their influence to actually cover themselves. Meanwhile, they are into drug. So you can even search online. You find a lot of cases where carabineers and police were arrested in Italy because they were member of this drug cartel. So drug mafias. So when I speak about police and carabinieri, don't it's not generic. It's not referring to the totality of the Italian police. In my language, it says that if someone in a town kills a dog, and that person, the whole town will be labeled the towns that kill dogs. So it's the same thing. Now, if you have a lot of police and carabinieri acting nuisance, acting barbaric, and hoodlums and gangsters, irresponsible, then it can then place a label on the entire police force of Italy, right? But in reality, it's not the totality of them because now we see that they are kind of now being controlled, and that's because they brought themselves into public awareness because these activities of the open, operation of the matrix. All right, so let me not digress from the subjects. So they do control it. My point is that they do have control over it. So if you think that the pistol, the gun, and the ammunition in the hands of the police and carabinieri, that is all they have, then you are making a very big mistake. Okay, from their office, with their mind. You remember that we are connected. We're not talking about a matrix. It's actually also the Internet of Things. In order for you to actually get the full scope of what I'm saying, it's important you listen to the video I've made before. So, with your thinking, you can control things. You can make the matrix to perform your action, to perform your will on person, on any object, or whatever. Remember, I said before, it is the matrix that is working in the church. You see how in the prophetic ministry, in the pastoral ministry, how pastors and prophets are able to demonstrate the power. This matrix I'm talking about has a global dimension and has different dimension and aspect to it, yet it is the same. That is why it is partly true when the police and the carabinieri in Italy say they don't control the network, but they do control it, but not the totality of it to some extent. All right, so they use the network here in Italy to disable people, to turn people into moron, invalid, make them mental, make them commit crimes. I'm saying intentionally, especially when you know that as a foreigner, I'm saying this as a foreigner, if you're coming into Italy, you just know where you are coming into. You are coming into a totalitarian society, a police state, a totalitarian society. That is the society you are coming into. Your mind is being read even while you are just dropping from the airport, even before you arrive. Your mind is being read remotely from distance, without contactless, without nobody touching you, without no one taking you to the office to put some equipment, some G2, some stuff on your head to read your mind. You are on a network, your mind is being read. And if they know that you have committed a certain type of crimes before arriving, what they're just only going to do is to set you up. How they do that is very simple. They'll make you to perform some action that are illegal in the country. They can push you to do robbery. They can program you to go do rape, to do whatever thing within their society that will make them to come for you. And then they will come for your arrest. And then they will have the time to then place all of the punishment to you and every other thing. So, and regardless whether or not even the things that you have even done before was even induced by the same matrix. All right. So, what's the point? They do use the network this way to really program someone to set you up, to program someone to do something that is criminal in nature, and they will come for it. It's important to realize that Italy is a barbaric society. In some sense, in some sense, it can be a very barbaric society. In fact, with the availability and the operation of these network within their society is so pervasive, you would not be wrong to actually classify it as a barbaric society, you know, as a barbaric society. Yeah, to a very large extent. To a very large extent. Yeah, this is the point I wanted to make today. And it's also important that you realize that these juju priests in Africa, if you put things together and it work for you, I'll be very careful because the matrix is a control of voodoo. Do you know how long the artifacts of Africa has been in the hands of the Western world? They've learned a lot about it. They've gathered intelligence, concepts, ideas from all around the world. So don't think that you practice voodoo and you practice juju and the Western world known that this type of thing really work, and then they just keep quiet and they are looking at you. No, they're not going to do that. They've already collected that information. They've deciphered it. They've understood it, and now the matrix. They have, invented their own version, digital version, that now kind of supersede, you know, superior to your practices of voodoo. So now is the one controlling voodoo. So many priests and many juju priests, they are not aware about this. This is just the information I wanted to share about the matrix today, and it is my space, and so I still consider myself really competent and have a lot of information about this subject.